While as city crews continue to clear roads after Friday's snowfall, Lloydminster has contracted a local business to supply road sand through 2024. Border City Concrete will supply the city's road maintenance crew with 1,500 to 3,000 cubic meters of sand a year at a maximum cost of just over $94,000 a year. Border City Concrete was awarded the contract after being the only company to bid on the program. Mayor Albers is confident in the selected firm, saying they scored highly during the bidding process.
Depending on the specification that's called for to meet our specs for the sanding programs of the winter, we only had one bidder. That bidder is a local business, which is terrific to see, and they met the specifications.
Border City Concrete will supply sand for the city's stockpile for the next 3 years. The mayor says awarding multi-year deals is part of the city's ongoing red tape reduction efforts.
They're not constantly back every year, and we've done that with multiple contracts, but also multiple funding arrangements for nonprofits and tax exemptions, things like that. So there's certainly something to be said about looking at a multi-year arrangement.
Now for this week's retrospect, we'll go to Blakeney.
This week in retrospect. Back in '92, the community of Kitscoty discusses a fatally dangerous intersection.
The intersection of Highway 16 and 897 has been the scene of 2 fatal accidents in the past 7 months and at least 3 more over the past 2 years. The most recent being last Monday when a tractor-trailer unit collided with a small pickup, killing 78-year-old Sophie Duray of Paradise Hill. The driver, 80-year-old Ernest Duray, is recovering from internal injuries in hospital.
Everyone, is very concerned.
Norma Haraichuk is deputy mayor in the nearby town of Kitscoty. She says the accidents are on the minds of everyone in the community.
We haven't discussed it in a formal way. We've discussed it informally. We've discussed things like speed reduction on the highway, reducing speed, possibly maybe even some type of sign, and I'm not sure what the wording would be, but a high accident rate type corner.
A fatal crash that killed an elderly Grand Center woman last summer resulted in an investigation. The Department of Highways determined at that time the parameters of the intersection are all within provincial guidelines. Now local MLA Doug Cherry says he has asked Transportation Minister Al Adair to conduct a second investigation.
I have contacted the department to do a full review of that intersection there, and hopefully that we will come up with some answers. I don't know what there will be.
And Seeds from Outer Space land in Lloydminster back in '97.
I don't think they'll grow as well as the ones that didn't go out in space.
Students in grades 4 to 7 at the Payton School planted 50 canola seeds earlier this week. That's nothing special, however, half of those seeds are. They were part of the bundle Canadian astronaut Bob Thirsk took into space aboard Shuttle Columbia in June of 1996. The main reason canola was chosen, because it was developed in Canada.
And the seeds were small. They needed to take something small up into space. They couldn't take seeds that were large. They only had so much room.
The students will monitor the growth of the space-grown seeds compared to regular canola. The results will then be sent to the Canadian Space Agency along with the results from other participating schools. Webb says the CanoLab project is an excellent education tool.
Not only are they learning about the canola seeds and the canola plant and the canola industry, but as well as the space shuttle and the effect that space will have on the seeds themselves.
And that's all for this week in retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now for a look at the strong wind conditions around the region, we go to Shelby Clark. Thanks so much, Jasmine. Now taking a first look at your weather forecast. Yes, we are seeing a very windy day. If you stepped outside whatsoever today, you can see that we do have those 39 kilometers an hour winds coming from the northwest, and it's very windy out there for everybody traveling, driving out there on the roads, even walking outside. Please be careful and try to be safe. Definitely bundle up because it is feeling a lot cooler than how we are sitting at -4 right now here in the border city, but it does feel closer to -15, and with the wind, it does make it feel a lot colder outside. So just please be careful because there is a wind advisory in effect right now. Switching over to temperatures across the region, though, for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, we're seeing lots of -4s on the map here. So we are seeing some warmer temperatures, of course, at those single digits. -2 in Vermilion and Edmonton, while it's -3 up in Bonnyville and Lac La Biche, as well as down in Provost and Wainwright, Vegreville, St. Paul and Cold Lake, all seeing that -4 mark. So we are still seeing some warmer temperatures, but with that wind chill, it is feeling a lot cooler outside. Switching over to Saskatchewan side now, they are still seeing those single-digit temps as well. -5 up in Isle Across, while most places are seeing around -3, -4 degrees. -5 in Meadow Lake as well down there, and Macklin is seeing -3, and North Battleford is sitting at -4, where like most spots on the map. And for North Battleford, they will be going down to a low of -14, so they will be cooling down at 10 degrees cooler there throughout their evening low and throughout the night. Tomorrow, they will be cooling down a bit compared to today, seeing -12 throughout the day with a mix of some sun and cloud. For Cold Lake overnight, they'll be going down to a low of -14. They will be losing some of that wind throughout later in the evening, like we are here as well in the border city. Tomorrow, they will be seeing -11, but they will be seeing some slightly more cloudier skies. They won't be seeing too much sun. And for here in the border city, we'll be going down to a low of -13. That wind advisory is going to be kind of calming down a bit later on in the evening, so hopefully it won't be as windy later in the evening and throughout the night. And tomorrow, we will be seeing -11, but we will be seeing a little bit more sun. And now showing off one of your photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that submitted to our Facebook page. This is a beautiful shot. I love seeing a playground filled with all that snow and seeing like hopefully some people are enjoying the time outside and taking advantage of these nice temperatures while we have it. This one is from Craig. So thank you, Craig, for submitting this one. And that's all I got for now. Our Jasmine King will have more news coming up after the break. Now in sports, Tate Lakecraft and Evan Kenny dive into Lloydminster Minor Hockey, breaking down the playoffs thus far from the elite level, Steelers and Bobcats.
With March underway here in the border city, it's playoff season for a lot of local winter sports. And joining me here today to talk about the state of some of these local teams is Mr. Evan Kenny. So to you, Evan, I'll say welcome and thanks again for joining me. But what can you tell the viewers just about some of the local teams and their state in the postseason so far?
Yeah, Tate, like you said, obviously, March specifically when it comes to hockey and minor hockey, really kicks off the postseason here. It actually started the last week of February when the Inland Steel Bobcats played their first round matchup versus the Southside Athletic Club out of Edmonton. Unfortunately for the Cats, they were defeated in the best of 3 series, so that finished their season. So unfortunately for the top level Bobcats team in town, they are done. As well, the U15 AA Steelers were able to steal one game this past weekend against the Edmonton Pandas. However, they did end up losing 2 others in their best of 3 series. And for the U18 AA Steelers, unfortunately, it was the same result. They were able to find one win, just couldn't quite tie a full series together. So for those 3 teams, the season, unfortunately, is over.
And very unfortunate indeed. Those are the teams, though, who are done for this year. So what about the teams who are still in the midst of fighting for their playoff lives?
Yeah, Tate. Well, for a number of teams in the elite programs here in Lloydminster, their playoffs haven't actually quite started yet. For the U15 AAA Bobcats team, they will start on Wednesday when they do play at home. And for the U16 Bobcats, they will be playing Thursday on the road. So for either of those teams, that kicks off their playoff journey. Hopefully, both those teams are looking to win some championships there. And then for the U18 AAA Steelers, they're in the midst of their playoffs, their first round series right now, Tate. This is a team that you and I both know very well from doing the play-by-play for this team. They're taking on the Red Deer Chiefs, where they split their series. Both games went 2-1. this past weekend, going all the way to a shootout. So Lloydminster was able to win game 1 while Red Deer took game 2 as well, 2-1. So the third game of that series will be played next weekend, next Sunday expected, but more details are to come. And Tate, just from, like I said, covering this team throughout the season, you and I both know the series between Lloydminster and Red Deer was such a good series all season long. They went 2-3, or Lloydminster did, against Red Deer on the season. And with the exception of one game, they were all 1-goal games and arguably some of the Steelers' best games this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously a very big game coming up next weekend. If the Steelers are able to win that one, that will secure their spot in the league's provincial tournament, so a lot on the line in that one, obviously. But changing gears and looking at junior hockey, both the Lloydminster Bobcats as well as the Bonnyville Pontiacs have started their first round of playoffs.
Yeah, Tate, Lloydminster went to Drayton Valley and took on the Thunder this past weekend. Unfortunately for the Bobcats, they did drop both games. Both of them were 3-2 in favor of the Thunder, and actually both of them ended up the third goal being scored in overtime. So some very hard-fought games. And, for the Bobcats, they knew it was going to be tough going to Drayton Valley. In the regular season, it was actually the home team that won every single game, with their season series being split 3-3. And actually, unfortunately, very similar for the Bonnyville Pontiacs. They're taking on the Whitecourt Wolverines in their first round matchup. And unfortunately, on home ice at the RJ Lalonde Arena, Pontiacs did drop both of their games. So either of these two teams down 2-0 in the series right now. It is a best-of-7 first-round series. So both of them will be playing on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Lloydminster will be hosting on both of those two games. Meanwhile, Bonnyville will be traveling to Whitecourt.
Hopefully, lots more playoff hockey to come, showing the importance of home ice advantage relating to their performance in the regular season. But for right now, that's all we've got. So I'll say thank you very much for doing this, Evan.
My pleasure, Tate.
Now to take a more in-depth look at our regional temperatures, we go to Shelby Clark. Thanks so much, Jazz. And now taking another look at your weather forecast. Before we start off, I just got note that there is a travel advisory for the County of Vermilion area right now. So please make sure if you have to travel, or if you can postpone it, maybe change it to tomorrow, because those wind conditions have made those road conditions a lot worse, and it is pretty dangerous to travel out there on those roads. So if you're in that area, please be careful if you have to travel whatsoever. But now starting off looking at the central region of our provinces here for the temperatures on the Alberta side, most spots are sitting at -3, so we are still seeing those warmer temperatures, so hopefully we are moving a little bit more into spring now, but I know today doesn't really seem like it. -2 in Rocky Mountain House and Edmonton, while Cold Lake is seeing -4 degrees and Jasper is just at that 0 mark. Switching now over to our Saskatchewan side here, they are still seeing those single-digit points as well. -4 in North Battleford and Melfort, while it is -3 in Saskatoon and Prince Albert, and Meadow Lake is seeing -5, just like us here in the border city. And now switching over to our northern region to kind of check them out, they are still seeing some warmer temperatures as well. Usually they do see some slightly cooler ones, but they are still seeing, most spots are still seeing those single-digit marks. -7 in most spots on the map here, -6 in Flin Flon and La Ronge, while South End is at -5, and Stony Rapids and Uranium City are slightly cooler, just seeing -10, -11. Now switching over to the Alberta side here, usually down in this area they do see some slightly warmer temperatures, and kind of shows for it right now with Grand Prairie at -3, -5 in Slave Lake and Peace River, while high level is at -4, and Fort McMurray is at -7, while Fort Chipewyan is almost reaching that -10 mark. Now going over to our southern region now to see what they're sitting at. They aren't looking too bad whatsoever. Lethbridge and Medicine Hat both at that 1 degree mark, -1 in Calgary, while Banff and Coronation are slightly cooler. And now going over to this side here, they are seeing some very warm temperatures as well for today. -3 in Yorkton, while Kindersley is at -4 degrees, -2 in Swift Currents, while most spots are seeing that 1 degree mark, and Estevan is at -1. And now looking looking back at what we can expect throughout the evening and throughout the night for most spots across the region. We will be seeing some cooler temperatures, but not too bad than what we were used to seeing last week. Provost and Myrna will be seeing a low of -12, while Wainwright will be seeing a low of -13. Most spots will be seeing a low of -14 degrees, and Paradise Hill and Meadow Lake will be seeing the coolest with a low of -15, -16. So we will be cooling down just a bit, but it won't be too bad. It's mostly the wind that we are seeing today that is cooling things down. And Isle Across, Pierceland, Paradise Hill, and Meadow Lake will be seeing a high chance of some flurries that will be starting off in the evening and continuing throughout the night. And now taking a look at our 3-day forecast for here in the border city. Tomorrow we'll be seeing -11 for our high, -13 for our low, but we will be seeing a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. So hopefully after seeing these warm temperatures, it is helping melt down that snow. It definitely is, but it is making it really messy out there. Wednesday we will be seeing a much sunnier day at -13 with a low of -23. So we will be cooling down slightly on Wednesday. And then Thursday we will be seeing a mix of some sun and cloud at -13 as well with a low of -18. But we will be seeing some stronger wind chills throughout this week, so get ready for that. That is another look at your weather forecast. Our Jasmine King will have more news coming up after the break.
Joining me right now from the Community Addictions Peer Support Association is Ashley Highland as well as Karen Hidalgo, and they're here to talk about an upcoming web presentation that aims to educate on some of the stigma surrounding substance abuse. Before we dive in, though, to the both of you, I'll say thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Getting into the thick of things then, could I just get you guys to provide a bit of a basic overview of this webinar as well as what it aims to accomplish?
Right. So a couple of things. The title of this webinar is Substance Use Health, the Doorways to Stigma-Free Health Outcomes. And this webinar is on March 9th from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Anyone who wants to sign up can go to capsacanada.eventbrite.ca and they can sign up for free there. The spots are limited, so we do encourage you to do that as soon as possible. With this webinar, our objectives are to understand substance use health and its spectrum and its impact on removing stigma as a barrier to increase health across the spectrum of substance use. Now, during that, we hope that the participants can gain that knowledge and develop understanding on how implementing different approaches to care, such as trauma and violence informed care, and understanding how equity and ending discrimination increases health overall across the substance use health spectrum and across just overall people in Canada that are living well with substance use disorders.
We are also placing a huge emphasis on the importance of providing equity-based resources. So understanding that each individual has their own set of experiences, whether that be based on their race, culture, ethnicity, their language, their gender. There's various factors that contribute to substance use or can contribute to stigma that people experience as a result of substance use. So it's very important to consider equity in how you're approaching levels of care, depending on each person's individual traits, and then implementing approaches that best meet their needs.
Mm-hmm. Another point in that is looking at the intersectionality of stigma and how different factors can come at play, and how that the equity piece of the intersectionality on stigma can come and affect people different ways because of the intersection of their social determinants of health.
And when it comes to the motivation behind an educational program like this, is there anything that specifically inspired or influenced this attempt to educate people?
Well, there's lots of evidence around how different approaches have worked, but what we are missing is how intersectionality is needed in order to have coordinated access to approaches. So people having to go through multiple doorways in order to get what they need. So we're talking about bridging these services together and being able to have a better look at why equity is important to implement within these services. So over the years, we've done several projects with health-based organizations. So the speakers that we have are people who we've done various projects with and other work with. That's why we were able to have knowledge of different toolkits that they're working on and creating to address the systemic stigma. So through that, we have speakers that are heavily involved in trauma and violence informed care. They're heavily involved in Indigenous trauma informed healing and different approaches that can be used and accepting all pathways to wellness. So with that, we were able to craft together a panel of speakers who are able to touch on different points of equity. So we also have speakers who are from different cultural backgrounds and discussing how culture can affect stigma with substance use and mental health. So we really want to be able to cover these bases to show just a wide spectrum of different traits that are involved and how to be able to properly address certain needs based on personal background and based on different factors that, as we mentioned, are intersecting within substance use and with our experiences with stigma. So we see that it's very important, especially with the pandemic and increased substance use, that it's important to talk about our substance use health and then recognizing each person individually and how these factors come into play.
And just before we close things off here, I know you wanted to clarify some of the details surrounding this presentation, just to eliminate any confusion for people in Lloydminster who might be interested in attending.
I just want to mention firsthand that the webinar is in Eastern time, so that's obviously a helpful hint. And also we will be having a French panel. So there is a French part of the discussion as well. So offering services in French and discussing, so we'll have it, it's a bilingual event.
Thank you both very much for your time.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Today for Primetime Local News, we are joined here with electronic producer Lude, who recently released a remix of the song called Down Under. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for having me on. It's stoked to be here. And yeah, it's been this whole weird trip with this song has been crazy so far. So yeah, I can't believe I'm talking on a Canada station. Like, what the hell's going on? I just got out of bed in Australia. I literally got out of bed 10 minutes ago, quickly washed my face, and then straight on here. So thank you for having me.
And we're glad to be able to have you on here, especially for all the residents here in the border city that may be some Lude fans out there. I'm sure they're excited to see that we're speaking with you. Now, this remix went to #1 in Australia, New Zealand, United States, United Kingdom, and here in Canada. How does it feel to see that strong reaction and support from fans?
It's because I had been doing this for like a while, like, you know, I've probably been producing for 7 years or something. So I've been like working at it for a while, but I've never ever had anything do this, like goes crazy viral as this. And it's just so crazy because, you know, like I'm used to, you know, a lot of Australians and, you know, New Zealand and all that, but it's all these other countries now have heard this song and it's just going like, it just went worldwide. And I literally made it as a club song just to put in my sets, like my DJ sets. That's what I originally made it for. And now it's turned into this crazy like beast. I'm just like, what is happening? And now I'm talking in Canada, like it's crazy.
Well, it's good to see that you are getting that strong reaction and support that you didn't really expect. And we were speaking about this earlier before we started this interview with the backstory on the remix. Can you go into that again and expand on the backstory and just let people know about the little details on that?
Yeah. So basically, I because of COVID, I hate to say the old C word, but you know, there were no shows on, and I'm just like, what can I do to like content wise to, you know, keep posting stuff, because obviously, you know, as an artist, you have to keep posting stuff to, you know, people remember you exist. And I was like, how about I just start making these 20-second clips of remixing classics? And, you know, it is dangerous territory, remixing classics. So you are going to get people who are like very against it. But I made a 20-second clip of the Down Under song. I used the original vocals, made a drum and bass version of it, and put it out. And it just like overnight, I remember, because I didn't really check, because I was like, whatever. I checked in the morning and it had like 1 million views in the morning. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And so many messages, put it out. So we're like, okay, let's hit up the actual original singer, Men at Work, Colin Hay from Men at Work, who wrote the original song. And he's just like, he said something along, he's like, I don't see why I would put it out, but I don't see why I wouldn't either let the kids have fun. So I'm just like, what a legend. So thanks to him, because he gave the okay, it's like changed my life.
And I find it really interesting to know that it all started with kind of like a 20-second clip of a song that you were just doing for fun and just trying something out, and you didn't expect to see how viral it went, and just knowing how strong the support was from your fans. So it's really cool to know about this. And is there any future works or a little teaser that you can let us know about for any fans out there watching this?
There are a lot. They've got one. I don't know if there's one with Rain Radio, which is we're trying to get a sample cleared for that one at the moment, which I'm super stoked about, but I can't say what sample it is. But if that happens, I'll be so stoked. But yeah, I've pretty much since this song's come out, it's just been so hectic. Like as far as writing music wise, there's just so many like deadlines and even just doing interviews and stuff. I'd never done them in my life before. And now we're doing different countries every day. It's just insane. But yeah, so definitely can't wait to put out the next stuff for sure.
Perfect, Louisville. It was great speaking with you. And actually, before we end this, is there anything else you want to let your fans know about?
Hopefully, we're doing a tour now. We're going to be going to Europe in from June to September, and we're going to try to stop over in Canada in that tour. So try to like at the end or the start of it. So we're working that out at the moment. So hopefully if that does happen, that'll be crazy because that'll be the first time I've come over to Canada. Been wanting to come forever. But yeah, if that happens, yeah, like I don't know how I'll deal with the cold, but we'll see. Where I am right now, it's I just got up. It's like 6:55, and it's I think 22 degrees. So it's like, I think the coldest I've ever felt in my life. I went to China before, and I think it was like -1 there, and I was wearing short shorts. I'm like, oh, this is a wrong move. I'm so used to Australia, you just wear short shorts everywhere. I'm like, everyone's looking at me weird, but yeah, maybe I have to bring out the pants for Canada.
Well, I think Canada will welcome you here anytime. Thanks again for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Stoked to be here.
Ending off with taking a quick look at your 7-day forecast. We will be seeing a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. Wednesday, we'll see a little bit more sun, so hopefully that'll help warm things up with -13. Continuing that through Thursday and Friday, and starting off this weekend with that 1-degree mark on Saturday with a slightly warmer Saturday, and Sunday and Monday we'll be seeing -11 and -9. Thank you, Shelby, and thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News this evening. You can catch us again in the second hour.